Rutger Hauer in Blade Runner 1982 credit Warner Brothers. In the final act of Blade Runner, Deckard Harrison Ford flees the vengeful replicant Roy Batty Rutger Hauer, outmatched by his strength and rage. He finds himself hanging from the side of a building, but is unexpectedly saved by the android before he falls. Aware that his 4-year lifespan is coming to an inevitable end, Batty summarizes his experiences and perspective to his one-time adversary. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched Cbeams glitter in the dark near the Tannhäuser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die. Though he has failed in his search for immortality, Batty's newly acquired humanism does not go unappreciated by Deckard, nor has it been ignored by the millions of people who rate Blade Runner as a science fiction benchmark. Ridley Scott understandably has the greatest share of praise for film, but Blade Runner's most famous speech, indeed, one of the greatest death soliloquies in cinema history, wasn't anything to do with him. Blade Runner's script was written by Hampton Fancher, who also wrote the sequel, Blade Runner 2049, and then revised by David Peoples, but Scott permitted his actors to view it as a foundation and improvise if it would help characterization. For example, Edward James Olmos improvised the Cityspeak spoken by his character, a mix of, among others, Japanese, German and Russian. Likewise, Rutger Haue had read the dying monologue intended for him by the screenwriters, and felt that changes could be made. Scott noted in an interview this year that he was pleased with the changes Haue had made. The production was over budget, rushed, and Scott was about to lose creative control to the studio. He wrote it at 1 o'clock in the morning and I was going to be fired at 3. What exactly were the alterations? Haue had mostly just shortened Fancher's lines, which started as I have known adventures, seen places you people will never see, I've been off-world and back, frontiers, I've stood on the back deck of a blinker bound for the Plutician camps with sweat in my eyes watching the stars fight on the shoulder of Orion. I felt wind in my hair, riding test boats off the black galaxies and seen an attack fleet burn like a match and disappear. I've seen it, felt it. While it could be perceived as an actor taking issue with a script, Haue saw his amendments as benefiting Roy Batty's arc and preserving the message of the speech. If time was short for the character, his last words should acknowledge this with a brevity: his batteries are going. He has no time to say goodbye, except maybe to briefly talk about things he'd seen. Life is short, boom, said the actor. He was still enthused by the many life experiences the script mentioned. Their focus on off-world matters gave the lines a grander feel, introducing details that meant little to viewers but let them imagine a wider and more amazing universe away from the endless night of 2019 Los Angeles. To add to this, he came up with the concepts of Cbeams and the Tannhäuser Gate. Certainly, they opened fan debate over their in-canon significance, like Han Solo's 12 parsecs burst in Star Wars, but whether Hauer intended secret thematic links to Wagner and German medieval legend or just thought they sounded cool is vaguer. Roy Batty's attempt to gain more life from his creator Dr. Eldon Tyrell Wright is in vain, credit Warner Brothers. The most famous addition, and surely the source of reported on-set emotional responses, was the tears in rain simile, which is attributed to Hauer. In the film, Roy Batty is fortunate enough that his demise coincides with the downpour. The monologue is also helped by another of Hauer's ideas, for his character to be holding a dove, and to release it upon death. Most critics see it as an allegory for the soul escaping, but it's also worth noting that the dove has appeared spontaneously in Batty's hand more or less unnoticed in the prior chase scene, as if the speech concludes the replicant's acquisition of a spirit. Sure, in Blade Runner's world real animals are hard to find and we are never told if this dove is authentic synthetic. But as with Batty, his composition is unimportant so long as he has any kind of solar representation thereof. As for Time to Die, that was a line retained from the script without alteration. Though the film has enjoyed retrospective approval, especially because of Hauer's approach to this scene, there were at the time many who would have wanted their memories of the production to be lost in time. Deckard's exhaustion at the end of the monologue was shared by Harrison Ford. The scene's completion also meant the end of filming, and what had been an unhappy production experience for Ford, Scott and others was over.